Hello, everyone. My name is Catherine Holyfield. I'm the STS National Database Manager for Intermacs and Pedimacs. And today we are having the Society of Thoracic Surgeons Intermacs and Pedimacs quarterly reporting webinar. It's July 15th. And so we'll go ahead and get started. On the agenda today, I'll introduce the UAB data warehouse team, the Intermacs data warehouse team, and we'll briefly discuss AQO 2021, and we'll have some reporting updates, and then the majority of the call is really going to be Q&A for the reports. So I hope everyone has their questions ready, because we have Ryan and Maceo and Devin on the call, on the webinar today. And just know your user feedback is really important. We really encourage it. So for the Intermacs data warehouse team housed at UAB, we have Patricia Potter, Jeannie Ann Love, Dr. Ron Cantor. Don't believe Ron is on the webinar today. And we have Maceo, we have Devin, and I believe John is out also. But thank you for everyone from the from UAB that took time to put on and join this webinar today. So just a reminder to use the Q&A function for your questions. We'll answer as many questions as possible. You know, if there's questions that we can't answer right offhand, we'll definitely get back to you. We encourage your feedback, encourage you to ask questions, and we want to hear from you. So I think before we get to the current reporting status update, Ryan, first I wanted to talk briefly about AQO 2021. This year it is going to be virtual again, but it was so successful last year. I'm looking forward to this year. The Intermacs Day will be October 12th. Registration opens next week, so be looking out for emails regarding that and how to register. So excited for this Intermacs. We have two really big tools that we're going to roll out that day. A dashboard, Intermacs interactive dashboard that Ryan will briefly talk about later on. And then we also, you've heard us talk about these updated adverse events. Well, they're in the process of being programmed right now into the database. And so those actually will go live maybe about a week before AQO. So everyone will have time to enter those. And so when we have our updated AE session, we'll have some really good questions. So looking forward to hopefully seeing a lot of y'all at AQO this year. And Ryan, if you would like to provide any reporting updates or what you'd like to discuss today, that'd be great. Or if you want Devin to go ahead and talk about her updates on data downloads.
Sure, Devin, why don't you first mention the updates on the data downloads?
Hi, everybody. My name's Devin, and I just wanted to let everybody know that all the version 6 variables are live in the live data download. And also, we've had a lot of feedback from users about wanting some variables on every form to make things easier for you to make bar charts and pie charts. And one of those is device brand and different variables about the device. And so we have added that, and that should be live for you. And if you have any issues, please feel free to email me. I love questions and I love teaching. So just feel free to email me. Thanks, guys.
Great. Thank you, Devin. I love that.
Yeah, thank you. And great. And just for those, Devin is a great teacher and she does love teaching and explaining. She's very good at it. So take her up on that if you're interested in the data downloads. It's a great tool.
Yeah, it's great that, you know, with those edits, we can really say at any point in time, you can download every data element that you've entered into Intermacs. So that's at your fingertips. Okay, so there was not a lot of action on new things in the report this quarter, but that's actually pretty good because about, I think 1 or 2 quarters ago, we did some major overhauls to the reporting where we broke it out into a couple of different top-level reports. we had a few bugs in that rollout process. I'm sure some of you saw some of the emails where we re-uploaded it, but I think things have really stabilized. So I really appreciate everyone being patient with us. And I know we worked with individual sites to make any kind of time crunches they had on getting those updates, but I think we're in a good spot. The only thing that changed from Q4 to Q1, there was one additional kind of minor discrepancy related to that. And these were in the exhibits 27 through 36. These are all of these exhibits that are plotting out different follow-up characteristics over time, like NYHA over follow-up time, or the Euroqual over follow-up time. So not the main exhibits for outcome reporting, but definitely useful information. The intent was to only show those for at a patient level based on their first device. That is related to how the timing of those data collection points is all related to that first device and if you get an exchange. Until we corrected this issue just now on the reports that just got released, it was including information for all devices that a patient received. So really, what will that mean if you compare your reports from this quarter and last quarter? The numbers on those few exhibits, the patient count, it might go down by just a hair. So these are very, very minor corrections, but we do want it to be as accurately as possible, as accurate as possible. So we made that change, and I would say everything's operating as intended, and the reports have really stabilized after those big changes. And so I'm glad, because I know those resolved a lot of issues for questions that people were having. Having all those different elements and varieties of reports give people flexibility in what they're quoting to their Joint Commission. And we've mostly just been answering questions as they come from sites. Macio's been handling that. So we'll certainly answer any of your questions today, and feel free to reach out to us at any point in time, because we really enjoy helping sites use the reports and use the data. I mean, it's in there, so we hope it can be a useful resource. The other thing I'll mention is we're working really hard behind the scenes to launch this dashboarding tool that will launch at the time of AQO. There'll be 3. We've been working with a focus group of site coordinators, and then Dr. Kirkland and Pagani as kind of the PI input. And there'll be 3 main sections of these dashboards. One section is going to allow you to do kind of a calendar quarter counting and accounting of patients at risk, new patients, events, all happening, really what happened in each quarter over the last rolling 6 quarters. There's going to be a section on different time-based cohort of patients that you'll be able to select certain patient characteristics, and then get a select grouping of key metrics. And all of this you'll be able to interact with in real time in the system. And I don't want to steal any of Rama's thunder, so there'll be much more information, but that's what our team is putting a lot of effort into, and I'm hoping will make it a little bit easier than having to pull information through the hundreds of pages from the reports. It's really going to be focused on things that site coordinators and Dr. Pagani's and Kirkland have identified as kind of the key metrics. So we hope that's useful. And with that, we can open it up to questions whenever you're ready, Catherine.
Okay, great. Thanks, Ryan. I do have a sample QA Hospital X report pulled up if we need to go to that for reference. Bless you. Yeah, we do have some questions. The first one is from Melissa, and she's asking, are we allowed to have more than one person who can receive the reports? I can answer that. Yes, we do. We've started allowing sites to have a backup site admin. You can, if you would like that, you can email myself or Jeannie and Love And we're happy to send you an updated participant contact form, and you can get that additional staff added. So at this time, those who receive the reports are the site administrator and the backup site admin. So those are the two people that receive the reports. And due to PHI, we really can't open it up to allow everyone at your site to download the reports. But obviously, once those reports are received and downloaded, the site admin or backup site admin may distribute confidentially to whomever they want. The next question is from Minnie. And Ryan, if you can look at this question, it's stating in the quarterly quality assurance report, recent report, do the 30 days readmission only count patients who were implanted in the last 6 quarters? Or is the 30-day readmission count all active patients with 30-day readmissions?
Sure, thanks, Minnie. That's a great question, and it is the first option there. So the way each of the reports work, and specifically the recent year report, the first thing that happens is we select a group of patients for inclusion in the report. So for the recent year report, it is the patients who received their first Intermacs implant within the last 6 quarters. And then the entire report is describing information about those patients. So it would only count patients who were implanted in the last 6 quarters. And that exhibit would tell you what their 30-day readmission is.
Thank you, Ryan. And the next question is from Melissa. For the upcoming new dashboard, will more than one person per site be able to access the dashboard directly? This is a really good question, and I believe, yes, the answer is yes. It will be more than just the your physician rep or your site admin. It will be open up to the staff. And the next question from Curtis is, what platform will the dashboard be built with? Power, BI, Tableau, or something else? Ryan, you'll have to take that
Sure.
one.
Thanks, Curtis. So we're currently evaluating both Power BI and Tableau and determining what makes the best sense in terms of features and licensing requirements. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed for Tableau, but we're defining that now.
Great. Thanks, Ryan. The next question is, can you share Devin's email so we can reach out for learnings? Yes, I will actually put that. Or Devin, can you put that in the chat box, your email?
Sure.
And we have another question from Felicia. How do you classify late? For example, if a patient was implanted March 15th, 2021, would the window close on June 15th or June 30th?
You might have to help me a little bit with this, Catherine, but my recollection is that, for every form,
Yes.
Implant form or follow-up form, there's the expected date and then the window close date. And so anything
Correct.
after the window close date gets counted as past due for the accounting. So I don't know for
Yeah, are you, Felicia, I'm assuming you are talking about the forms when they're submitted. Maceo, you're the expert on this. Isn't it's June 30th, correct? Well, patient was implanted March 15th. The window for that, because that's going to go into the second quarter. No, that would be Q1. But if they entered that past June 30th, isn't there like a week cushion?
If they get it entered by June 30th, it should reflect on their quarter 2 report.
Okay.
And we actually do the like if we're talking about a report where the report coverage stops June 30th, we don't pull that data until July. So August 1st would be the data pull. So anything that got entered by August 1st would be included in the report. I mean, assuming that, still limiting to events and implants that occurred prior to June 30th, but that's the absolute deadline for that. So.
Yes, we are actually, there is a, I'm gonna share the report distribution schedule.
Oh, perfect. Because I keep having to do that math in my head every time. I'm glad we have that. That's
so that will be really helpful. Because it's always helpful to go over and review with the sites, I believe. There you go. So that would be the report distribution schedule. For quarter one, we've got the data entry deadline listed and the coverage stop date and then the distribution date. So we have those listed for each quarter. So this is found on the Intermacs website. It's under the reporting tab, the reports tab. And so if you want to print this off and keep it handy, you can. I try to always have it put in the Intermacs, the database news also. Our next question from Brenda is there live data reporting on hemolysis, hypertension, and right heart failure? If not, can it be looked at and considered? Live data reporting. Brenda, can you please clarify, are you talking about the live data downloads? And if she is Devin, do we have the, she says yes. So Devin, do we have the zones for the, in the data downloads, hemolysis, hypertension, and right heart failure?
I don't know. I'd have to look.
I believe we do.
I can't speak with certainty on this,
Yeah.
but I would suspect, knowing how our system is built, that likely all of the like zone data would be there because it's like the content collection, like all the questions that get entered. But in terms of,
it would be, yeah, like the actual event. I think that it's collected on the follow-up, right? Those different zones, the hemolysis, hypertension. And so if it's on the follow-up form, it's going to be in the form download on the, in order on the form. So.
Right, but what I'm saying is like there's like an algorithm for each of the zones on like, does the data entry meet the definition of hemolysis, hypertension, and right heart failure? And I know in our build system, I know it shows up on the screen, but I don't know that there's a column in the live download. I know that in the research builds that's there, but we just have to go look and see. Because I could see how that might not necessarily be built in since it's not a content. Since it's basically a derived set of variables based on the definition for each of those kind of zone conditions.
Yes, but we will definitely get back to you. If you want to send me an email, I can have that confirmed and provide you 100% answer. But I believe it is there. Felicia, sorry, this is in reference to adverse events. So the late question, are you talking about how the adverse are reported as late on the QA reports, Ryan? Like how you define late?
I don't understand what the question is.
Okay, Felicia, if you can just maybe clarify what you're asking and we'll get it to Ryan. Someone's asking, Beverly, do you do any webinars for new abstractors for training? Absolutely. If you would like that, we have many educational tools. We have like a recorded training session, but I'm always happy to train new data abstractors. So this is Catherine. So if you want to send me an email, in my email, it'll come on. I'll pop it up at the end of the webinar. And it is done through Zoom. So Chelsea's asking, will late entries after the data pool be included in the subsequent data pool?
Yes. So whenever we do a data pull, we pull all of the cumulative data from Intermacs. So any late entries that got entered in or any data corrections, each quarter, the report's going to use the latest and greatest data and incorporate all of that information.
That does it for the questions. We're just waiting. Please feel free to go ahead and submit your questions in the Q&A if you have any. I'm going to take the report distribution schedule down.
I think someone asked who was speaking. I'm Devin, by the way, and Brian's the male voice. I saw somebody ask that, so this is me.
I did.
Okay.
And this is Catherine Holyfield. I made the introductions.
Yeah, and Catherine, yeah, thanks.
Sure. Minnie asked, she said she's sorry if she missed it, but what was the timeline for the dashboard? The dashboard will actually be launched October 12th. So the Intermacs Day at AQO. And then we have another question from Brent. Does the Intermacs classification have to be determined by a surgeon? We don't require a surgeon to make the Intermacs classification. We'd probably prefer it be the surgeon because usually it's all in the patient's notes, but it's not like a hard rule that it has to be done by a surgeon. Okay, are there any more questions? This is your chance. Okay. Someone asked, did Devin add her email address to the chat box? I don't see it.
I did. Oh, I'm an idiot. I sent it to just the panelists. Okay. There we go.
No worries. Thanks, Devin. Thanks for doing that. And if you don't get her email, you can always email me and I will definitely contact Devin and connect you to her. So we'll wait a few minutes and see if we have any more questions pop up. But in the meantime, so I've been posting on here the websites where you can find the Intermacs documents. And that Intermacs reports at uabmc.edu. If you have any questions regarding the reports, this goes directly to the reporting team. So this is the best email that you can reach them at. And that's also listed on the sts.org website. Felicia is asking, she's just saying, sorry, I bungled the early-late question. Who can I direct my question to? I would direct it to Ryan, since he's our PhD and director of the reporting.
I just added my email to the chat if anybody needs that as well.
Okay. So it would be Felicia. Felicia, it would be Ryan if you'd like to type it to, or you can email him, however you'd like to proceed. And the next question from Polly is, can someone explain the rate per 100 months?
Sure, this is Ryan, I'm happy to. So whenever we're looking at adverse event reporting, one thing that's useful to consider is the fact that not all patients are followed for the same amount of time. Like some patients might be on support for a year and then get a transplant. Some patients might be on support for 5 years and die. Some patients might be on support for 2 weeks and then we do a data pull. So there's all these various reasons why some patients have a lot of time on device and some patients have a short amount of time on device. this becomes important when you're trying to figure out how much of the burden of the adverse events there are, because the longer you're on support, the more kind of risk, patient time at risk you have exposed to have those adverse events. So when we calculate rates, the numerator is the number of observed events in the cohort, and the denominator is the total amount of patient time at risk. And so when you tally up the patient time at risk, it could be in many different units. Like you could just tally it up all in like the number of days. But if you tally up the total number of days for, Intermacs, 30,000 patients, all supported for, on average, a couple of years, it'd be an incredibly huge denominator, and the numerator, and so the rate you got would be just like 0.00000 something, really, really, really tiny. So that per 100 patient months at risk is really a scaling factor. So it's kind of like it's really just like the unit. Like if you talk about the speed of a car, you could do kilometers per hour or you could do miles per hour. It doesn't change the speed. It's just doesn't change the speed. It's just like what unit it's in. So, and the denominator is the numerator and the denominator. Okay. Minnie asked the question, can you clarify the numerator and denominator again? Numerator is the total number of events that were experienced for the patients, and the denominator is the total amount of patient time in that cohort. So, at your side, if you had one patient that was on support for 1 month for that analysis, they'd contribute 1 month of follow-up time to the denominator. So that 100 patient months is just a scaling factor. We calculate the rate basically per month and then multiply it by 100 so that we get numbers that are something like 1.3 or 1.5 or 12, or so the rates are like easy for our brains to comprehend. If we just did it like by per patient month, we get even smaller numbers along the way. And let me pull it up. I'll put it in the link. I think we have a FAQ that really has all of this written down, so you don't have to remember it. If you give me 1 second, I will post that in the chat window. You know what? I sent my email to all of the panelists as well. Okay, so I'm pasting here's the link to the FAQ. There's a lot of good information on the UAB Intermacs page, all about reports. There's the FAQ. There's some tutorials Devin wrote in PowerPoint on the live data download, and just a lot of good information. So if you look around, here we go. I think third time's a charm. There is my email, and there's the link that I'm talking about to all panelists and attendees. So yeah, I hope that helps, and suggest taking a look at any of that. And feel free to email me any questions.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it. So in that link to the appendices, that's also the first email address that I have listed up here. So if you want to take a picture of that, or these slides will also be posted on the STS website under the Intermacs webinars. So while we're waiting on some more questions, here's the contact information for myself. I'm Catherine, and we also have Patricia Potter. And for any other database operational questions, you can email the Intermacs FAQ@sts.org. So let's see. So I'll go over the next webinars. We've got the next user group webinar this month at the end of the month, July 28th, Wednesday, July 28th at 1 p.m. Central. And then we have the next quarterly reporting webinar will be October 14th at 2 p.m. Central. But thank you, everyone who has joined today. It looks like we have one more question from Chelsea. It would be helpful if there was a date updated for the Intermacs appendices. Could that be added? A date, Chelsea, are you referring to like the user guides? Because the user guides are updated every quarter. And there is a date if you look in the right on the top of the front cover page. So in the AEs have not been updated since I believe 2013 or 14, so we're waiting. The data obviously be updated when we release the updated adverse events. She's asking, that in QA, not in a document on the web page. Yeah, we can add that. We can put a date. Absolutely. I can have them update that. So we'll give it another minute or two, but if there's any more questions, this is a great opportunity because we have Dr. Cantor live on the phone on the webinar with us today, so he can answer your questions. Or if you think of any questions after looking at your reports, you can definitely email myself or I think that's it, Carol. I don't see any more questions coming in.
Okay, that was a great call, Catherine, Devin, Jeananne, Maceo, Patricia, and Ryan.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you all very much. Somebody does have their hand raised. I don't know if they wanted to talk. Elon Moreno.
I saw that, yeah. Did you, if you can put your question in the Q&A, that would be great.
Here, I allowed Elon to talk.
Hi.
Hi.
This is not related to today's lecture, but in general, so, it's been a long time since we've been audited for Intermacs. Are we going to continue to be audited periodically?
Actually, since the transition to STS, the audits started back up.
Okay.
And so we did, for COVID, we did not, STS, we just decided we're not going to perform any audits, but we are back up and their site's being audited currently. And so your site will be audited. We have it's with a third party auditor that STS uses. So
okay.
if your site gets chosen, you'll be sent detailed.
Okay. And then with that, for the quality of life questionnaires and trail making, do we need to keep the hard copy like the originals, or is it acceptable to just keep a scanned copy?
You can keep a scanned copy.
Okay, thank you.
You're
I just want to elaborate on the audit part, Catherine.
Sure, go ahead.
This is Carol. So STS audits 10% of sites. So not every site gets audited every year. And we skipped the audit in 2020, which would have been on 2019 data. So we resumed the audits in 2021, and we'll be auditing the last 6 months of 2019 and the first 6 months of 2020. So we're able to audit both years in this year's audit. Audit notification has already gone out to sites, and they've already gotten, our audit company for Intermacs, Pedimacs, is HMS, and they've already gotten feedback from all the sites that have been chosen to be audited for this year. So that's the audit process. And then I see two questions. What does an audit entail? The audit entails us sending you, Catherine, you want to speak on that for Intermacs? I don't want to say it wrong for your site. And then the next question is, how long does it take to hear something back from the audit? So usually the sites usually get feedback from the audit probably in the fall time. And then we have, we'll have all the audits complete and final results and aggregate registry results back hopefully by the beginning to mid-December. So I got the second question, but you could take the first question from Chelsea if you'd like, Catherine.
Yeah, sure. What does the audit entail? So basically, so your audit, there's some data variables that have been picked by the Intermacs task force that thought were really, important variables to the Intermacs database. And so these variables have been picked, and basically that's what you'll be audited on. It's an agreement audit. Is that how you would word it, Carol? Agreement, or if it's missing or not missing. So it's a little different than how the audits were previously performed. But it's very thorough. You will get first, if your site is picked by HMS, you'll receive a very detailed letter with instructions. And they have like a secure portal that you'll have to send it'll have a list of patients. UAB randomly runs a list of patients, and it's a confidential, secure portal. And so you would download the information that's being asked via, or you'll upload it to that portal. And then they will review it, and then they get back with you if there's missing or they have questions, and then you have time to respond to that. And then you'll receive a summary, and then if there's anything, any training or anything that needs to be done to your site or your site staff after that, then we'll definitely perform that. I will tell you, however, in addition to these, I call it the big audit by HMS, the data warehouse Patricia and Jeannie actually perform integrity checks on a monthly basis. So they kind of do a little, those data integrity checks every month. So if you get emails from Patricia or Jeannie regarding, some of your patients or some data's missing, then or any clarification questions, then they perform their own data integrity checks. And that actually helps. Actually, the data quality report that the sites receive, those variables, the exhibits and what's on that data quality report is very close to the audit variables. And so I would encourage everyone to definitely look at that, review that data quality report, and make sure that everything's being entered and you're up to date with entering your data. I think that's it. And if I missed anything, Carol, please feel free to add.
I think you covered it really well, Catherine.
So, well, thanks.
Covered it way better than I could, for sure.
Well, I don't see any more questions coming in. If you have any after the webinar ends, you can email myself and I can connect you to Ryan, Maceo, or Devin, or you can use the reports webinar that I posted up there. But this webinar will be posted in the slides like I said, on the STS website under the Intermacs webinars, probably at the beginning of next week. And we appreciate everyone joining, and thanks for making Intermacs great.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Catherine. Great job. Great job, UAB team.
Thanks, Carol. Thanks, UAB.